Hi everyone, my name is Buki Minchens and I am a part-time student of the Master in Education Dual Strand at the University of Hong Kong. I kindly request you to take a few minutes of your time to listen to my research proposal presentation and to provide any form of feedback that will help to improve what I intend to research on in the coming few months. My research is titled The Effects and Implications of Implementing a Flipped Classroom Underpinned by Knowledge Building in an IB Economics class. I am grateful to Professor Carol Chan, who has agreed to be my supervisor. My presentation will take the following order. Firstly, I will introduce the research proposal. Secondly, I will share the literature that has shaped my research. Then, through methodology, I will explain how I intend to carry out my research. Lastly, I will bring forward what might be limitations and challenges as I take this research. The Assessment and Teaching of the 21st Century Skills Organization states that there has been a shift in the skills that are required by advanced economies and needed in workplaces and broader communities in which our students will participate. If we are to prepare students for the 21st century, it is imperative for our teaching to include domains that promote ways of thinking, ways of working together, ways of using new tools, and ways of living productively in the world. The International Baccalaureate's IBO philosophy also leans towards the ways of thinking that will develop the student, the capacity to identify, to analyze critically, and to evaluate theories, concepts, and arguments about the nature and activities of the individual and society. Secondly, Beretta and Drucker, as cited in Sawyer 2006, state that economists and organizational theorists are in agreement that today we are living in a knowledge economy. In the knowledge economy, memorization of facts and procedures is not enough for success. Learning should foster strategies for learning with understanding as opposed to the explicit strategies for memorizing that are overtly promoted in schools and universities. Educated graduates need a deep conceptual understanding of complex concepts and the ability to work with them creatively to generate new ideas, new theories, new products, and new knowledge, as cited in Sawyer 2006. The flipped classroom has been viewed as pedagogy that, when designed to include the discourse of collaborative problem solving or working with others to solve a common challenge, including the contribution and exchange of ideas, knowledge, or resources, help to achieve a shared goal, would allow students to access those higher order thinking skills on the Bloom's taxonomy. Therefore, designing the flipped classroom to feature knowledge building would ensure the attainment of these skills. This brings us to the question, which is about finding out about the effects and implications of implementing a flipped classroom underpinned by knowledge building in an IB economics classroom. Now I will go through the literature review of a flipped classroom and knowledge building. Bishop and Veliger 2013 define a flipped classroom as a learning environment where students are first presented with course material in advance of class. They read a book chapter, watch a video, or listen to a podcast. Class time is then freed from simple delivery of information to be used for other purposes, notably small group active learning exercises. Students view videos of the lectures as their homework, and class time is used for activities and solving problems that might have been assigned as homework in a traditional classroom. That's according to Riendur 2012. Moffat 2015 says A flipped classroom is pedagogy that allows students to access the upper levels of cognition when classroom time is used to work on activities that promote deep learning, like applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Van Aalst, 2012, concurs that knowledge building, with its emphasis on authentic problems, synthesis, and rise above, is more attuned to higher order thinking, including applying, analyzing, and evaluating of information. The theory for knowledge building. Other than procedural knowledge, the cognitive process dimension includes metacognitive knowledge, metacognitive control, and self-regulatory processes, fundamentals in students becoming more knowledgeable of and responsible for their own cognition and thinking. And that's according to Pentridge, 2002. Learning should foster strategies for learning with understanding as opposed to the explicit strategies for memorizing that are overtly promoted in schools and universities. That's Biggs, 1979, as cited in Scandamelia, 2002. Educated graduates need a deep conceptual understanding of complex concepts and the ability to work with them creatively to generate ideas, new theories, new products, and new knowledge. Sawyer, 2002. In this paper about business students, Zhao and Chen explain that students' ideas viewed as conceptual artifacts are object of inquiry. Comparing others' models with their own can, in fact, enhance metacognitive understanding through questioning and explaining in collaborative inquiry. When it comes to the research method, the flipped classroom is widely used, and if the effect of combining it with knowledge building would give positive results, it would be a case of wider interest and whose findings could be used to improve best practice and, who knows, or even inform policy. So studying the effect phenomenon cannot be easily separated from the context under which it takes place. Therefore, I have chosen to utilize an instrumental case study approach in the form of action research with a quantitative and qualitative approach to the analysis of information. And that is supported by Stake of 2005. Since this research aims to explore the effects of implementing a flipped classroom that is supported by a knowledge forum in an IB economics class at an international school in Hong Kong, 2 IB economics classes of 15 and 16 students will be used in the study. One group of students is to be the control group, and that will be about 10 students. And the other 2 groups will experience the intervention of a flipped classroom and a flipped classroom combined with the knowledge building perspective, respectively. In terms of data type, the case study will require observations of students and documents. Documents will manifest themselves as student work, i.e. classwork and homework, and formative and summative assessments. Observations will aim to record student work in the classroom before and after the intervention. Conversations will be typed out and video recorded where possible. Qualitative analysis and pattern spotting will later on feature in the study. The observations will focus on the types of conversations that are going on between students as they work on the unit before and after the intervention. The conversations will be measured for cognition before and after the intervention. All the participants will be observed at least 2 times before and after the intervention. Students' classwork and homework that will be undertaken during the study of the unit will also be observed and analyzed for signs of better cognition. Work of all the participants will be analyzed for any sign of better cognition before and after the intervention. The quantitative data derived from the formative assessment, consisting of multiple choice questions and structured short answer questions, will provide quantitative evidence of student learning and knowledge at a certain time of the study of the unit. That will form data to be treated as the pretest data. These results will be compared with the results of the summative assessment post-test to check for a difference that may be attributable to the intervention of a flipped classroom or a flipped classroom in conjunction with knowledge building. Data to be collected from the classroom observations will be used for qualitative analysis, and a suitable coding system will be identified once the results are in. Data from the observations will be typed and saved as they are collected, and the video recording will serve as a backup record for later transcription. To address the issue of validity, this data will give more credibility to the results and findings of the study by providing another type of data measuring the same construct. By triangulating the study, the construct of a flipped classroom and knowledge building will be measured more than once through observation and through written responses. Internal validity for this study will be challenged to some extent, as this is a one-sample pre-post test study. However, the inclusion of the classroom observation part of the study will give it a triangulation that will render it more credible. The study will be investigated twice with the pretest and the post-test, and on an ongoing basis with the classroom observations. The threat of maturation effect will be minimal with this study, as it will last for only 3 months, which is a very short time for it to be affected by natural development of the participants. Since the study is classified as a case study, its results and findings cannot be generalized and be inferred to a wider population. Instead, its external validity can be validated by its results and findings resonating with other case studies carried out in differing settings. This study takes the one-sample pre-post test approach, and it is therefore ethical to some extent. It will not subject students to control measures that may breach students' rights, school rules, values, and agreements. Since the study will be carried out with students that I teach as participants, this has to be communicated to them. Permission has to be sought from the principal of the school, parents, guardians of the students involved. This study takes the one sample and one pre-post test approach, and it is therefore ethical to some extent. It will not subject students to control measures that may breach rights of their schools and their values. Now for limitations and challenges. It is hoped that permission and consent to take the study at my place of employment will be granted, since the study is to involve a control group and 2 other groups, totaling 31 students in 2 classes. 31 students might not be enough to be divided into 3 groups. I have had a few attempts at knowledge building, and I'm still building up my confidence in the implementation of this pedagogy. I have not tried the flipped classroom, so this will be my first time. However, I'm optimistic that the experience will lead to useful insights in my teaching. Thank you for your time. please give feedback on how you see this research taking shape so that I may improve where I can before I implement it. Thank you.